All right, and welcome into the Fantasy Pros Fantasy Football Podcast. It's the Week 7 Sunday night instant reaction show coming to you live right here on the FP YouTube channel. I am your host, Seth Woolcock, and the boys are back in town with me on this beautiful fall evening, and that includes a man whose resume includes roles like orthopedic sports surgeon and the founder of SportsMed Analytics, institutions such as Harvard, Stanford, UPenn, and of course, Vanderbilt, home of those wily Commodores. He's Dr. Deepak Chona. Doc, how are you tonight after, I'm sure, another busy week in the operating room and on the fantasy injury front?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you for having me, man. Vandy's in the top 10 and life is going well.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, man. You might say something a little bit differently, maybe in about 24 hours from now when your Texans are back on the main stage, but glad vibes are high for you. Also back in the saddle is a guy who nearly had to take a trip to the hospital to see Deepak yesterday after both his college and pro team have put him through the ringer this weekend. Scott, big time. Boggs, did the heart rate finally find level here today?
It just didn't get very high for Texas. I was already miserable from Thursday watching that game going overtime with Kentucky, of course. But look, what a Sunday it was. Some of these games at the end have been absolutely spectacular, especially its second slate. We were like, do we need to stop and wait until these games end here? And the Broncos got a chance. They got 30 seconds left to come back, but the Giants did just score a touchdown to go up with 37 seconds left. So what a great Sunday outside of some injuries, but I'll let Deepak handle that part here.
Yeah, and before we jump into those, shout out to everyone who's rocking and rolling with us on the FP YouTube channel or the audio feed. Please be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. And let's go ahead and get to those injuries. Also later to come in the program now, since we're back on YouTube, we're going to give you the 5 top storylines of the day. We'll also take a trip to the panic meter, and we'll round out the program with a rapid fire Q&A. So send any Sunday specific questions you have that we can help answer for you. And speaking of those nasty injuries, we are once again loaded here at the top of the program. Carolina Panthers quarterback Bryce Young, he exits with an ankle injury. Deepak, were you able to gain any information looking at the film? And is this one of those low ankle sprains, or maybe the dreaded high ankle sprain, or maybe something else entirely different?
Yeah, it did look like a high ankle sprain. The inner part of his ankle is kind of where the bend happened. It didn't look severe. His foot didn't get kind of planted or caught in the turf, but he did have a walking boot on after, and they said he had trouble bearing weight. Typically, even a mild high ankle is going to cause at least 1 week out. Quarterbacks tend to return a little bit sooner. We'd have optimism going forward, but I think probably next week is in doubt.
Okay, Boggs, up next for the Panthers, the Bills, the Packers, and the Saints. Are you ranking Tedero McMillan or any of the running backs differently if it is Andy Dalton under center next week?
I don't think too much, right? Like, Andy Dalton has proved to be pretty solid. I mean, if something happened to Andy Dalton, of course, then we'd be in big problems there. But Andy Dalton is a good, sturdy vet. I don't think obviously you lower these guys a little bit, but I don't think it will be enough to knock them off pedestals or anything.
Okay, Bogman still having some confidence in the red rifle. Also on the injury front, we had Jacksonville Jaguars wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. He didn't play in the fourth quarter in London with what's being called a shoulder injury. Deepak, any clarity on what this is exactly? And has this maybe been leading to BTJ trying to avoid hits at times, also dropping some balls over the middle, including today against the Rams?
Yeah, the last play that he was in before getting pulled, he grabbed at his shoulder after a relatively mild hit from the defender. So it didn't really look like that was the play where he probably got injured. Probably happened a little before that is my guess. And he was in and out earlier as well. The game was not close at that point, so they did pull him. He does have a bye coming up. The fact that he was in and maybe dealing with a nagging type of injury suggests that he has a good chance of coming back after the bye. But we don't have a clear picture of what the diagnosis is at least yet. He's probably getting an MRI tomorrow.
Bogman, we'll talk more about Travis Hunter later on in the show, but if BTJ were to miss time, if this was something more severe than what Deepak is predicting, is it worth a look to the waiver wire to add someone like former Penn State Nittany Lion, Parker Washington?
Yeah, I think it will be. Yeah, if it is going to be an extended period of time for BTJ. But I really like the fact that Travis Hunter got it going. So he's probably going to be pretty low on my list because the Jags have the bye week next week as well. So
Okay.
Parker Washington, interesting, but not quite there yet. And by the way, the Giants are going to blow this game.
Oh,
they missed the extra point.
Oh,
and no. Denver is driving, and they're gonna spike it here and then get a field goal off.
Oh, wow. the dreaded missed extra point. Also dreaded. It looks like it could be a pretty bad injury for New Orleans Saints running back Kendre Miller. He exited with a knee injury. Kellen Moore came out and said that there is, quote, some concern for his injury situation. Deepak, how severe did this one look to you?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they pulled him and then the coach saying it is concerning, all really predict that he's going to miss some time here. The average is going to be at least 2 weeks. They get an MRI tomorrow to kind of clarify severity, but there's some pessimism just because he does have a knee injury history and a hamstring and an ankle history as well. So young player with an extensive history already.
Boggs, obviously a total bummer for Kendre Miller. Finally started to get some things going after a pretty slow start to his career. We never wish injuries on anybody, but could this actually be a net gain for Alvin Kamara? And will you be adding rookie running back out of Kansas, Devin Neal, this week?
I mean, I think in a deeper league, specifically with Bye-Pocalypse coming up, 6 teams on a bye next week, I think I would probably throw a low bid on Devin Neal, but it should, as you said, be bigger for Kamara, obviously. And by the way, Denver did just win this game, but yeah, I think it would be, I think just more touches for Kamara, unless he gets banged up too. I know he's been in trade rumors as well, so there's a lot going on. It's worth a cheap, bid on Devin Neal in a deeper league.
Deepak, we also had injuries to Miami Dolphin players. First was tight end Darren Waller. He left with a pec injury. Jaylen Waddle, he left later on. It was a very bad Quinn Ewers hospital ball that he got hit on. Any more information on the potential severity of either of these two dust-ups?
Yeah, so Waller is a player with a lot of soft tissue history, but not really a pec strain history in the past. Usually when they label it a pec, it means a strain, and that tends to cause at least 1 week out, just because when you're blocking, there's a high chance of re-aggravating or restretching that pec area. So with Waller, usually you would see at least 1 week. Now, Waddle, I'm a little more optimistic on. He, as you said, he took a big hit and fell onto his kind of back and shoulder area, but the game was already out of hand. And for that reason, we'd suspect that he is probably able to come back next week. He didn't land on any concerning part of the body. It was really more, I think, just a contusion type of injury.
Scotty, this is a really gross situation down in Miami, man. We don't know if Mike McDaniel is long for South Beach or what's happening there on the coaching front. It's really been Devon Achane, and sometimes you're getting production from Waller or Waddle. Is there anyone else you're interested in if these guys were to miss time?
I mean, I do like Malik Washington. They just haven't consistently gotten him the football. So Miami is gross. I would say that for the most part, it's just Waddle and Achane are the guys that I want to roster. I mean, if you're in a super flex, I don't mind throwing a bit on Quinn Ewers. And, he did bump up to the second quarterback position. They moved Zach Wilson down to third. So if they are going to make a change or McDaniel gets fired and ownership wants to make the change at quarterback, it could be Quinn Ewers. That's going to lead to a whole bunch of different, his favorite targets. Obviously, we've seen with Mac Jones in there. Kendrick Bourne becomes big, right? So I think the correct answer is we're not really sure yet. But if it's Waddle for an extended period of time and Waller, it's their 2 highest targeted guys, somebody's going to have to catch the ball here in Miami. I would think it would be Malik. Nick Westbrook-Akina would get a little more.
Yeah.
I mean, the only other healthy wide receiver they've got is D. Eskridge. So maybe Julian Hill, Tanner Connor, the tight ends would be a little more involved, but it's ugly.
Could we get an NWI run like we did the last few seasons where he just goes on to score a ton of touchdowns? That might be a fun one.
Turns into Chris Carter. All he does is get touchdowns.
Last thing before we let you go here, Deepak. Washington Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels suffered a knee injury late in that 4:00 slate. Do we have anything on that currently?
Yeah, it looked from the video like a hamstring. He was trying to push off and he was getting actively pulled back, and then he grabbed at the back of his thigh. The video and his initial reaction suggested kind of a higher severity, and the fact that he was limping immediately also suggested this is at least in that moderate range. Now, the average on that is going to be 2 to 3 weeks. Couple of positive signs here. One, he came out of the tent with a thumbs up, and that presumably was to his mom, according to the broadcast, and kind of reassuring from the standpoint that probably saying this isn't a season-ending or severe injury.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was jogging a little bit on the sidelines trying to test it out. But again, the concern here with the hamstrings is re-injury risk, one, and two is that the hamstrings help to stabilize against ACL injury. So we know Washington, of course, with their sort of franchise's history with RG3, is likely to be conservative. And also earlier this year, Daniels sat a couple weeks, which is longer than most players would have sat with that type of injury that he had at the time. So I would think they're going to be a little conservative here. Probably miss some time would be my guess, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be a season ender or high concern for IR.
Bogman, expectations for the Commanders offense if it is Marcus Mariota back under center for some time?
The schedule is fairly brutal coming up here. It's Kansas City at Kansas City next week, then at home against Seattle, then at home against the Lions. They do get a little reprieve with going to Miami and then a bye week, week 12. But if they decide to keep him out of this brutal stretch 3 to 4 weeks and skip the bye week, that would put him not back till week 13 against the Denver Broncos. So playoff schedule's nice. Vikings, Giants, I think it's Giants, Eagles, Cowboys in the championship to end. So let's see what they say about this. I do believe Deepak is correct. Like, this is a franchise snake bitten by QB injury, so they are going to be very, very careful with Jayden. So hopefully it's just 2 weeks and then he's back. That's what I would assume at this point with the thumbs up and everything. But let's see what they say tomorrow.
I think from a fantasy standpoint, you're still rolling out Bill in this offense. He's been fantastic.
McLaurin's up. If
Debo
healthy, Debo is up.
Yeah.
So Ertz is like a maybe, depending on how Mariota looks. So, but Mariota is definitely a huge downgrade.
Mariota, not a bad super flex option too, if you're out there in 2 quarterback leagues. I mean, every time I see him, like, I'm not overwhelmed by his passing, but he is still nasty on the ground, man. He's still got a little bit of boot, scoot, and boogie to his game. So I enjoy that with Marcus Mariota. So wouldn't mind rolling him out in some 2 QB leagues where I'm like trying to pick between Cam Ward and a skill position player. So yeah, Deepak, thank you so much for your time here yet again today. Make sure y'all are connected with Deepak on socials. He's at SportMD Analysis. How's the TikTok doing? Did he close those DMs like I told you to, man?
Yeah, man, it's that part of it is not popping off, but hopefully the rest of it will soon.
Well, glad to hear it, man. Thank you so much, Deepak. We'll see you again next week. Boggs and I will be right back with our top 5 storylines of the week after a quick word about the Fantasy Pros autopilot tool.
Hi, I'm Chris Welsh with a very important public service announcement. Do you suffer from any of the following? Making the wrong lineup decisions every single week. A Brock Bowers late scratch. How about Jaylen Warren playing in London? Then it's like super early that he's not playing. Do you live on the West Coast and being forced into unreasonable 6 a.m. times to check your lineups? If you answered yes to any of those, we've got a solution for you. Fantasy Pros Autopilot. Autopilot can be your hero, whether you struggle with the right decisions, you're super busy, or you just need some saving from that last-minute deactivation like the Jaylen Warren in London thing. Here's how Autopilot works. First, you can just swap inactive players. You can set it up where My Playbook will automatically swap out players with suggested lineup changes for inactive players. Or you can turn on full Autopilot mode, where My Playbook will automatically submit or suggest the optimal lineup based on the latest expert consensus ranks. Don't let late decisions or even your time zone ruin a fantasy matchup any single week. Work smarter, not harder at fantasypros.com/myplaybook to get started today. Why did I not have Autopilot set up for Jaylen Warren?
Real quick reminder, if you want to win a signed A.J. Brown Philadelphia Eagles jersey for completely free, courtesy of our friends over at pristineauction.com, all you need to do is head to fantasypros.com/contest, complete the form, and either A, download the Fantasy Pros app, B, leave a review for the Fantasy Pros Fantasy Football Podcast, or C, follow us on X, Instagram, or TikTok. We're at Fantasy Pros. The more actions you complete, the more entries you're going to receive. And we will announce a winner right here on the program early next month. So if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, ring the bell so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize if you are that lucky winner. Let's get into the top 5 storylines of the week. And I want to start with the Kansas City Chiefs. The new look Chiefs blow out the Las Vegas Raiders. And I say new look because Rashee Rice returns to the tune of 7 receptions, 42 yards on 10 targets, 2 scores for him as well. That resulted in 23.1 fantasy points today. Wide receiver 8 overall with Sunday Night Football pending, just 19 routes run. So Boggs, I really thought maybe the top 12 ECR ranking of Rice was a bit aggressive in his first game right off the rip. Obviously, it was not. Will you have Rice ranked as a wide receiver 1 against Washington next week and at Buffalo the following week?
Yeah, probably. I mean, the dude ran 19 routes and had 10 targets. So obviously it's been in the game plan to get him the ball his first game back a ton. But I think that's going to be the plan moving forward as well. I wasn't really sure, how's he going to look? He did have a major knee injury last season. We saw him a little bit in the preseason, right? Mm-hmm. But, getting back and fully healthy can sometimes take these guys a long time, specifically guys that rely on their speed. He looked great. So they limited his snaps. He's only out there for 33. Worthy was out there for 48, even though he got banged up and came back in. So they were easing him in a little bit, and they got up so big, they just didn't need him in the second half. So why even bother? Which is the story of this game, right? This is the biggest shutout in the history of this rivalry between the Chiefs and the Raiders. So there's never been one bigger between these two teams at 31-zip. We saw Kendre Miller in the third quarter, right? It was a gross game, but the Chiefs offense looked good. Pacheco looked good, and we saw Brashard Smith get in there as well. So the Chiefs offense is humming right now and finally looking good after a couple down seasons.
Yeah, it was great for Rice because he really took over that, short to intermediate route role that he had last year. A lot of manufactured touches, a lot of first read targets as well. I'm really curious once we see the advanced metrics come out on Monday, what his first read target share was, because it had to be insane. And I want to spend some time on that backfield here, Bogman, because we did have Isaiah Pacheco, who had one of his best games of the season. 15 for 57 and 1 on the ground, did have a reception for -3 yards and 2 targets as well. But then rookie Brashard Smith, a guy you and I are very familiar with from SMU, he had a career game on 19 touches, 14 for 39 on the ground, 5 for 42 through the air. Is Pacheco back to this RB2, RB3 territory for you? And was Smith's usage more of just a game script thing, got out of hand, let's see what the young kid can do?
I think it's a little column A, column B for Brashard Smith. I do think they were planning on giving him the ball more, but this was a blowout. Kareem Hunt got nicked up early and then went back in, right? So I think it's a little column A, a little column B. It's a little bit of everything for him, but I think he is worth an ad, right? There's a ton of bye weeks this week. Running back has been barren this year. So if Brashard Smith is still on the wire in your league, I would at least think about it. Look at the end of your bench. Is there someone that's doing nothing? Maybe you've been waiting for them. I think Brashard Smith would be a nice buy there for sure. In terms of Isaiah Pacheco, I don't believe it at all.
Okay.
I understand, that this looked better, but they lost Butler and Crosby in the first quarter. They couldn't stop anything. The Raiders, this defense was miserable. They had no rhythm on offense. Geno looks awful right now. They went to Kenny Pickett.
Sure.
So, I think this was more game script than it was this is the Brashard Smith breakout game. But he looked great in his touches, and they want to give him the ball more. So it's always better to look bad than or good than bad. So I think I'm adding him. I would take him over Devin Neal, who we talked about a little bit earlier. I'd take him over some other guys as well. There just have not been good running backs on the wire for 4 or 5 straight weeks. So if Brashard Smith is there, I'm buying him. I'm jumping.
Pacheco, Hunt, or Smith rest of the season. Rank those 3 in order for me, please.
Pacheco, Hunt, Smith is still probably going to be my order. I still do think that Kareem Hunt gets touchdown looks when they get down there. They just didn't need him this week, and I would love to see Pacheco break out of this and look healthy, but it might be another year, kind of like what we're seeing from Javonte. You know what I mean? Sure, Javonte looks so good right now. Maybe next year for Pacheco, but he probably won't be with the Chiefs, so we'll see.
Last thing on Kansas City here I have for you, Scotty, is Where do you have Mahomes ranked rest of the season? QB1 on the season coming in, currently QB2 on the week in just 3 quarters of work, completing 26 of 35, 286 yards, 3 touchdowns for him, 28 yards on the ground, 4 carries as well. So Mahomes looked great again. Is he really is he back? Are we back?
I think
here?
so. Yeah. And just have these guys be healthy for him. You have a full array of your targets. You have Travis Kelce, you have Worthy, and you have Rice now. So get all these guys rolling back. That might make the run game look easier too. And I know Mr. Nice Guy in the comments talking about how I may be the Pacheco cooler and heater. As soon as I jumped off the Pacheco bandwagon, because I was a big preseason Pacheco guy, he starts to get better and better. So maybe he is more of an RB2 than an RB3. I'm just not going to buy it until it's like multiple weeks in a row. So,
okay.
But Mahomes, the talent has always been there. It's just getting his guys healthy, having that O-line protect him, and it's all starting to work now. So yeah, he's a top 5 QB for the rest of the season.
Storyline number 2 of the week. Travis Hunter arrives in London, currently wide receiver 8 on the week after setting career highs across the board. 8 receptions, 101 yards, and a touchdown on 14 targets. Bogman, I have to ask, though, is this just a product of the game script? Lawrence passed 48 times, or did I actually talk Travis Hunter's takeover into existence?
I think you might have talked it into existence because Brian Thomas Jr. has been doing nothing. You just lost Brenton Strange. Travis Etienne has been rough the last 3 weeks. So I think this is, for 2 reasons. Number one, it was game script. They were getting crushed. They had to throw the ball a million times to try to come back. Didn't work. And BTJ went out, right? So those things obviously help Travis Hunter get to this, to this crazy production. But we know how talented Travis Hunter has been the entire year, and it has been a rough transition for him from college to the pros, but nobody has made this transition where they're playing both offense and defense. I think he's going to be more of a weapon now, specifically if BTJ does have to miss an extended period of time, which we're not really predicting, but I think even regardless of that, with Strange going down, with the run game looking more ineffective, I think you're going to see more targets for Travis Hunter on a week-to-week basis. So, that's I think this is the breakout game for Travis Hunter. I think he's going to be better than he has been moving forward. Does he crawl into wide receiver 2 territory every week? Probably not. He's probably closer to a wide receiver 3 if you're rolling 3 or a flex option. But too bad we can't capitalize on this next week because the Jags are on a bye week.
I got absolutely murdered in the YouTube comments a couple weeks ago for saying that I traded Jawan Jennings for Travis Hunter. Very happy I did that. I had him in the lineup this week, unlike our friend Marcus, who had him bench. I'm sorry, Marcus. It's tough. Something about London just had me saying, I really think this was the game coming, and then the Strange injury a couple weeks ago too. So where are you going to have Hunter ranked? Obviously on the bye next week, but when he gets back from the bye, is he in that wide receiver 3 territory, you think now?
I think he's going to be on the borderline depending on matchups. I think that's what it's going to be. Plus, we got bye weeks coming up and more injuries and all that stuff. I think he's at least a borderline wide receiver 3 at this point moving forward, with upside to be a high-end wide receiver 2. So I really do like Travis Hunter. I think he's a good buy right now.
Storyline number 3 of the week. Eagles air it out. Jalen Hurts joins Donovan McNabb in 2007, Nick Foles in 2013 as the only Eagles quarterbacks to ever post a perfect passer rating. He completed 19 of 23 passes for 326 yards and 3 touchdowns against the league's best passing defense. Devonta Smith, 33.8 fantasy points. A.J. Brown, 28.1 fantasy points of his own. Finishes the week's wide receiver 2 and 3, respectively. Bogman, what the heck happened here, and how do we rank these players moving forward? Because we have been trashing the Eagles passing game for weeks. We haven't known who to start, who to sit. I feel really bad. I advised some people to sit Devonta Smith earlier this week and this morning on the Twitch channel.
Well, it's not surprising that you gave out that advice. Look at how this passing game has looked.
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts
exactly.
has looked miserable. You're going up against a defense that has played great against the pass. They're blitz heavy. We obviously know that, but it just worked. I mean, listen, this is the second time this season that Jalen Hurts has gone 19 for 23 in a game. The other time was week 1, and he had 152 yards. This time it was 19 for 23 with 326 yards and 3 touchdowns. The first game of the year with both Brown and Smith over 100 yards. Saquon got a little nicked up in this game. He left and came back, and they were 25th in passing play percentage before this game as well at a little over 52%, and they were more balanced this week, 50-50. So I believe it was 23 pass attempts and 23 rushes as well. So I just think that this is it's something to build on. This passing game has been bad the whole year. I think it's just going to get better. And I said last week, and I continue to say it, it might be over now, but if you could have got A.J. Brown for cheap, I would have done it a couple weeks ago. He's still A.J. Brown. So, I think this passing game is going to be better moving forward, and this is obviously a big indication that it will be.
Is he a sit-it-and-forget-it wide receiver next week against the Giants? Same with Smith?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
100%.
All right. Also, Bogman, another storyline is we had some questionable quarterback situations pop up this week. Justin Fields benched for Tyrod Taylor. Geno Smith benched towards the end of the game when that one was out of reach. Fields and the Jets were very much still in that when they pulled him. Geno benched for Kenny Pickett at the end of that one. And then Tua also benched for your boy Quinn Ewers. So out of these 3 bench quarterbacks, do you worry that any of them could actually lose their job? And how do you feel about the skill position in their offenses moving forward?
Yeah, I think Tyrod could take over in New York. I think that should happen. Justin Fields has looked miserable. I hope it doesn't happen. I have 2 shares of Justin Fields in Superflex leagues, so I kind of hope it doesn't happen, but I could easily see it happening. He has looked miserable, 6 for 12, took 3 sacks. I mean, Taylor wasn't much better, 10 for 22, and he also took 3 sacks. But yeah, I think Fields should be the guy. I just don't think that Kenny Pickett has been with Vegas long enough to take over. Geno has obviously spent a lot of time with Pete Carroll, but I wouldn't be surprised if any of these guys lose their job, right? We talked a little bit earlier about the Miami situation with the offense, with Jaylen Waddle possibly being hurt and the offense just being bad, and McDaniel maybe getting fired. There could be wholesale changes to this offense. Could be Quinn Ewers taking over. Could be Zach Wilson with a new head coach in there. So I would expect it still to be Tua. Tua still makes a lot of money. And if he's not hurt, I think he's going to be in there. It was windy. It was against a really, really rough defensive line. You had targets missing as well. Waller went down. Waddle went down. Right? Like, I think there's enough excuses for Tua to keep his job. So I think he's going to continue to keep his job unless they do make wholesale changes. Geno is just a maybe. Like, I wouldn't do it. Kenny Pickett is... You and I have watched Kenny Pickett a lot. I don't think he's going to get it done. No. But Geno looks real bad right now. So it's not a crazy thought. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It could easily be done. But I do think that Geno keeps his job. I think Tua keeps his job. But I am wavering on Justin Fields. I think he goes to the bench this week. They're 0-7. They might fire Aaron Glenn before he gets to the end of the season, not even give him a full year. You got to do something there.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, I said a couple of weeks ago, I think it was last week on the BP College Football Show, that maybe it was a Ruben Bain ticket that we should get on for first overall. But I think now more than ever, it's looking like it might be Ty Simpson, Fernando Mendoza, or even potentially Oregon's quarterback going out there and just
Dante Moore. It's just always a quarterback, man. There's just so many teams are QB needy, QB desperate, and if you're holding that, you don't need a QB, then you got to listen to the trade offers because teams are desperate and way too much.
My brother in a dynasty league a few weeks ago, he texted me and said, I have someone offering, he was in a rebuild, I have someone offering a first-round pick for Justin Fields. I said, don't text me back. Just go accept that trade and run.
We don't need to discuss this. Just go.
Shout out to Austin for that one. Last storyline of the week here, Bogman. Los Angeles Chargers tight end Oronde Gadsden II, junior, third, one of the 3. He had 2 big weeks in a row. 8 for 7, 8 targets, 7 receptions, 68 last week at Miami. And then this week, the blow-up performance. 9 targets, 7 receptions, 164 yards, and 1 touchdown against the Colts. This feels like a genie in the bottle type of situation where they can't put him back in now. I'm not really surprised that, I obviously am surprised that he went for over $150, but I'm not surprised we're seeing production out of this guy. We saw him at Syracuse last year with Kyle McCord, put up some crazy numbers in a really heavy tight end class, and he's doing it again here.
Yeah, he's not a tight end. That's really what it is. He's categorized as a tight end, but he's a wideout. Like, there's not a lot of difference between him and Trey Harris, in my opinion. Obviously, the speed and the height, maybe, but Gadsden is great. And listen, you lose Hampton for an extended period of time, you readjust this offense. That's what they did. It didn't work because their defense could not stop Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor. And obviously, the game script was an enormous part of why Herbert had 420 yards in this game, right? Had to go somewhere. But I do think that you are going to see more passing from this offense because the weapons are in the passing game. You have Vidal and Haskins were both ineffective this week. I think it was 9 for 20, 2.2 yards per carry for Vidal and 3 on 1 carry for Haskins. They just didn't let these guys carry the ball. They were down too big too quickly. So it is curious that they threw for all these yards and Quentin Johnson barely did anything. 2 for 30. He's had a score to save his day, but way more of it went to Gadsden. Gadsden has played more snaps than any other tight end 2 weeks in a row, probably specifically because they are missing Hampton and that juice in the run game. So I think this is going to continue until Hampton comes back, and Hampton is obviously out an extended period of time here at the very least. So wheels up. Go pick up Gadsden.
Do you have concerns about Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey, or QJ now that we do have another target, another mouth to feed?
Sure. I mean, it just gets uglier, right?
Yeah.
Like this week it was QJ was down. This season it's been Ladd, and Ladd was just okay. I mean, he did have 15 targets, but 9 for 67 on 15 is, just okay. Keenan had 14 and 11 for the touchdown. So there is going to be an odd man out every week. This week it was QJ. It could easily be Gadsden. I would probably put Gadsden at the bottom of that list.
Yeah.
Honestly. But, I mean, he's a great weapon right now, and get him while he's hot. That's what I say.
I said it a couple weeks ago, and I'll stand by it, that I think this Chargers offense reminds me a lot like that early or late 2000 teens offense of the Rams, where they had Brandon Cooks, Bobby Trees, and also Cooper Kupp emerging, right? And that, like, they're all wide receiver twos. You can start them pretty much every week, but one of them might have there might be an odd man out every week, and you just
want him
have
as
to
a
be prepared
3
for that. Yeah,
that's what it is. You want him as a 3 because 3 you can handle a boom or bust week. 2 you want some productivity out of. So, but. That this is a good question from Dredis here. If you're tight end needy, how much FAAB do you spend on Gadsden? I would say probably 20 to 25%. I'll also say this. There are so many good tight ends on the wire. You don't need to go overboard on any single one most weeks. So keep that in mind. Don't go overboard, but he is a very good option right now.
And before we keep it moving, I wanted to shout out our presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet, the sportsbook app that is taking over the game right now. Roll with Hard Rock Bet this season. You can sign up for Hard Rock Bet today. Place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, oh, baby, you're going to score $150 in bonus bets on top of your winnings. That's just one more reason to check out the Hard Rock Bet app and see why it gets so many stars, so many great ratings. On Hard Rock Bet, you can get profit boosts for football parlays every day through Monday. There are new promos out every single day. So no matter when you listen to this, open up the app and check out if you got any for the day coming up. Download the Hard Rock Bet app today and make your first deposit. Fired up. Let's get to the panic meter. Let us know down below who you're panicking about, and we'll rate them on a scale from 1 to 10 about how much we're panicking on them. 1 means, we're not really panicking that much. 10 means it is full-blown panic mode. And Bogman, I want to start with one that I'm seeing in the chat pop up quite a bit. Travion Henderson.
Drop him.
Is he a drop candidate? Is it not happening? I mean, this was my RB2 in Dynasty this year coming in. This was a guy had as a top 16 redraft running back. Were we just all wrong? What is going on here?
They're just not giving him the touches. And Ramondre Stevenson was a monster this week. And I believe Henderson was 9 snaps in this game. So Jennings had more carries than him, right? Like, it's just they were up big quick. So they didn't need him, but I do think it's time to drop Henderson. It probably was time to drop Henderson 2 weeks ago. The talent's still in there. I think this is a Chase Brown lying in wait. You know what I mean? Like, I do think that the talent is there, but if he's just doing nothing, we have 6 teams on bye week next week. So if you can go get Brashard Smith for him, I would probably go ahead and do that. It's not something that you really love, but I think it is a necessary move because they're just not giving Henderson anything right now.
Well, it's crazy too because you look back at his game logs, Boggs, and like he had 6 targets, 6 receptions in week 1. No targets today, no receptions. Like he's not involved. And I don't know if part of that is just Drake May's willingness to, tuck the ball and run right now. He had a really nice day on the ground against the Titans. But this was like the nuts matchup, right? Like the Titans is a great matchup for running backs. And obviously we all knew Ramondre was pretty much a must start, goes out and has 88 yards on 18 carries, finds the end zone once again. But Ramondre also, he got the targets this week too. So it's just like, I don't know what's left for Travion Henderson. I still believe I'm buying him low in Dynasty, but I think you're right that maybe it's time to cut our losses in redraft.
Yeah, it is without fail that as soon as I give up on a player, they start to bounce back.
Yeah.
So if you're rostering Henderson, I'm cutting him. So maybe you want to keep him because I'm cutting him, but I do think it's time, man. Like I've hung on to him too long. Like I said, it's probably 2 weeks ago was the time to drop him. I thought this was a prime week. This was going to be the week. Mm-hmm. This was going to be, hey, they should be beating the crap out of the Titans in the second half. And let's play them in the second half. And they were, and it didn't happen. It was the most accurate game in Patriots quarterback history, 21-23 for Drake May. So they just really didn't need him. They just gave the ball to Stevenson 18 times. So, yeah, I think Henderson could go.
Also, we have Wish panicking about Rome Odunze. Pretty poor day for him, just considering what we saw earlier this season. 2 for 31, 6 targets. DJ Moore led the team in receiving yards with just 43. They got it done. They didn't need a ton from Caleb Williams, just 172 yards. Is there any panic where you at 1 through 10 on someone like Rome Odunze?
I'd be like a 3 or 4, not high at all. I'm definitely not going to do anything. It is 2 down weeks for Odunze, and I'll give you that. They do have a lot of cooks in the kitchen here. Obviously, it's Moore, it's Odunze. Loveland is starting to come alive after the bye week. Burden has gotten a little bit more, but they beat the brakes off of New Orleans here. They just did not need to throw the ball that much. So, Rattler turned the ball over 4 times. They just did everything with Monangai and with Swift, and Monangai's been looking great. But, yeah, I'm not too worried about this past game. Caleb, not the best day for him either, but enough to beat the Saints.
What about your panic meter on RJ Harvey? As we're getting pointed out here by Nelson saying the touchdown catch saved him, and he wasn't involved much yet again. This is another situation very similar to Henderson, man, where it's a talented rookie running back, day 2 draft capital, and a veteran is just continuing to lead the way. J.K. Dobbins, yet again. I mean, man, I feel like there's been no more automatic player prop this year than Dobbins over rushing yards, right? 14 for 81, yet again today. Harvey, only 4 carries, no yards for him. Again, saved his whole day with that reception, and it was only one of 2 targets he saw.
Yeah, I mean, 4 rushes for no yards. Yeah, I mean, I think you can probably cut Harvey if you want. I think you can put him in the same bucket as Henderson. I like him a little more than Henderson moving forward because J.K. Dobbins has a history of breaking down. So, yes, I would rather keep him over Henderson. But again, if Monangai is on your wire, go get Monangai. Like, he is getting actual carries and touchdowns, and it's helping DeAndre Swift. Like, he's gotten more snap. He's gotten a higher snap percentage, and Swift has looked better. And I think Swift is always better with a second back there. He's not a full workload type of player. So, yeah, I would spend up on Monangai, and I would dump either one of those. It's weird to say I would take Monangai, the rookie, over Henderson or Harvey, with the way we talked about them, but his role is much bigger in the offense. So I think that's what it has to be. And I believe Brother Pickle asks how much FAAB on Monangai. A decent amount. Like, how many running backs have you seen come up on the wire recently? Not a lot at all. So I would spend, probably at least 25% of what I have left.
He was someone a couple weeks ago I recommended stashing. I felt like coming off. I thought it was going to be last week coming off the bye, right? So I actually ended up dropping him in a couple leagues at the end of this week just because I thought we'd see more in prime time last week. We didn't. Would you drop Keon Cole, or would you drop Harvey or Mason Taylor for Keon Coleman at this point?
I would drop Harvey. Yeah, or Mason Taylor. There's so many replaceable tight ends. Yeah, I'd drop either one of those guys for Keon.
Nelson, shout us out saying, not only Hard Rock Bet, I want to give a shout out to Seth and Scott. Thanks for the reaction videos. Nelson, thank you so much for making us part of your Sunday. We appreciate you, and shout out to you as well. Saquon Barkley, panic meter, Boggs, 1 through 10. Where you at?
3. I'm not high. I was really scared when he punched the ground today when he left, but then he was back in there a little bit after that. No, they're moving around the guys behind him more than him. I understand it's not been what you paid for Saquon this year, right? So, at this point, he's like a low-end RB1 instead of a high-end RB1, and he hasn't even been hitting those numbers. It's still, you have to rank him there for the threat, right? But I do think he turns it around. So, as long as Saquon is healthy, I'm okay with Saquon.
We have Jared here with a waiver wire question for week number 8, saying that he needs a quarterback and he wants to get ahead of it before last minute. And maybe it's even a week 9 that he's foreshadowing to. Should I go with Rodgers against Indy, Darnold against Washington, or Dart versus San Francisco, Bogman?
Give me the rushing upside. I want Dart.
I think Dart should be rostered, honestly, at this point. Pretty much rest is, I think he's more than a streamer. So,
I mean, Rodgers is coming off a 4-touchdown game. Right?
Yeah.
Darnold has looked so good. He has really looked good. I mean, if he carves up the Texans defense, maybe it's Dart, especially with all those injuries to Washington, but or maybe it's Darnold. But it's Dart. Dart has the rushing upside of all 3 of these guys, so I'd go with him.
Couple Jets questions coming in. First one from Philip: is Fields worth trading for with the stock cratering? I mean, dude, I don't like.
I don't know if he's starting next week. I would say.
Yeah, no. In Dynasty, redraft, nothing. Like, there's really no value in trading for Fields right now. We don't know where he's going to be. And, like, his leash as an NFL starter, Boggs, might be gone, right?
He's the end of the line. This is it. He's going to be Mac Jones from now on, Tyrod Taylor, Marcus Mariota. He's going to go somewhere that has a running quarterback and back them up. Yep. I think that's what he's going to end up doing. So,
you dropping Mason Taylor?
I think it's fine, especially if you can go get like Oronde Gadsden. Yeah, I'm okay with dropping Mason Taylor.
What's a buy low in Dynasty for someone like Travion Henderson for you?
Oh, man, if you can get him for anything less than a first-round pick next year in 2026 when the draft class is not supposed to be good, you can get him for a second, I'm doing it.
Okay. All right. Well, Bogman, I think that's going to do it for us today on this episode of the Fantasy Pros Fantasy Football Podcast. Let us know your biggest fantasy football winners and losers of week 7 down below in the comments. We want to hear from you guys. And also make sure while you're here, please do us a quick favor and smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We'll be back here next week, same time, same bad channel. For Scott Bogman, I'm Seth Woolcock. Take care, y'all. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Thank you.
See ya.